Dom, good evening.
Good evening, Matt.
How you doing, my friend?
Very good, thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for coming on to have a chat with me. I did just allude a moment ago that I was probably going to cancel the recording when I saw that you were unfortunately wearing an Arsenal shirt, being a Spurs fan. But we digress, and we'll carry on regardless.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Dom, as I said, thank you very much for coming on and having a conversation. You are, of course, the chief information officer at Viridor. So I thought a good way for us to start would be for anyone who doesn't know what Viridor do. Could you give us an introduction and an overview to what that business is?
Yeah, sure. We're Viridor is a waste management business focused on energy from waste and plastics recycling. We are the largest operator in the UK of energy from waste, operating over 11 energy plants across the UK. And we have putting in some big investment into plastics recycling, again, across the UK. We just opened one of Europe's largest plastics recycling facilities in Bristol. And so really that's the two core pillars of our business.
Okay. So the only other waste management company that I kind of know and which people will probably recognize is someone like Biffa. And when I think of Biffa, I think of coming to collect my waste outside on a Tuesday morning outside my house. So how does Viridor compare or even, how are you similar to Biffa? Where do you sit on that chain?
So Biffa are an end-to-end waste management business. We did have a vehicle fleet supporting 20,000 customers, picking up both domestic and commercial waste. We sold that business actually to Biffa in August 2021, and we've been working with them closely, handing over that business to them in the last 12 months. We've got a good relationship with the tech team at Biffa, and that's been a good experience. It's one of three divestments that we made in the last 18 months, trying to focus on energy from waste and plastics recycling. We divested our landfill and landfill gas business, as well as one of Europe's largest MRFs, which is a recycling facility, to a Dutch business. So allowing us to focus on energy from waste and plastics recycling. Where your bin goes, if it's your black bin, and you're near one of our facilities, more than likely your black bin waste will end up at one of our energy recovery facilities. For example, I live in Oxfordshire. Our black bin waste from Oxfordshire goes to our Ardley facility, where we are taking black bin waste from about 800,000 homes. And then we recycle or reuse that waste to generate electricity, which powers the equivalent of about 60,000 homes. So energy from waste is all about making sure nothing goes to waste, and building, certainly one of our big reasons for being is trying to build a world where nothing goes to waste, making the most of everything. That goes for plastics as well, how we drive the plastics recycling economy in the UK. And that's one of our big parts of our ESG strategy, actually, is making sure we're driving the plastics economy up until 2025. That's a big thing for us, as well as trying to look at reducing the impact of our energy from waste business on the environment by reducing our carbon emissions. So yeah, we do a lot of work in that area. It's a big focus for us. But yeah, we're quite proud of what we do in terms of generating electricity out of something that would normally previously gone to landfill.
Yeah, it's chucked away, right? So the two, I guess, products that the outputs of your business are energy, like electricity, which is made from the black bin stuff, etc., and then a product is recycled plastic from all of that raw material that you get in.
Yes, we take plastic from different parts of the market. We sort it into the different plastic types, and then we recycle that plastic and then sell the flake or pellet onwards for people that make shampoo bottles, for example, to produce new bottles. The key thing worth noting, actually, that if a recycled bottle has 1/6 of the carbon that a virgin plastic bottle has. So the more recycled bottles out there that we get into use, the better it is for the planet. Similarly for in energy from waste, it's significantly less carbon in the atmosphere if you recover it to generate electricity rather than sending it to landfill.
Yeah. Well, I'm a stiffler, and I mean this. I'm a stiffler for recycling. There's not a thing that gets past me, whether it's a tin or a bit of plastic. It's going in the right bag. So
just make sure you wash it.
Okay, yeah, I'll remember that. Watch out the hula hoops before it gets in. So you mentioned there that it sounds like ESG. Well, of course, because it's part of your business, but ESG is a major thing. What are the other major programs or initiatives that are ongoing right now at Viridor? What are the main things that the business is working on or working towards?
We've just, as I said, we just opened a large plastics recycling facility in Bristol. We've also recently announced we're hoping to start the build of a new energy facility in Essex at Tilbury. We're looking at opportunities where we can do that elsewhere, but that's a big focus for us. We're also hugely focused on looking at whether we can add a carbon capture plant to our carbon capture solution to one of our plants in the northwest as part of the northwest cluster. So we're working towards that, hopefully, and that will be a huge step forward if we can get that. We require government. We're working with the bidding for that opportunity with the government, and if we manage to do that and get that plant running on one of our largest facilities in the UK, that will get us very close or over the line on our net zero ambitions.
Okay,
that's a huge thing for us. Obviously, we're a fairly new business. Separated as a new business in 2020, we were bought by KKR. We used to be part of the Pennon Group. So in terms of Pennon PLC, so in terms of transformation, 2021 was definitely carving out particularly with an IT technology hat on, carving out from Pennon and setting Viridor up as a standalone business, which is key. And as you can imagine, that's in all different functional areas. It's about setting ourselves up for the future direction we want to go in. So 2021 was very much get us carved out, get us stood up on our own, and then launch what the business we want to be.
So
2022 is about making that happen. So
I want to touch a point on the 2021. So divesting one business, from one area to another, splitting two companies in two, basically. Is that tricky? Is that a walk in the park, or is it a bit of a headache?
I've done a couple now. So we started the program of work in just after the acquisition in July 2020, and we concluded successfully separated from from a systems perspective and more generally a business perspective. Finished taking services from the previous business in the end of 2021. It did mean implementing an ERP within 11 months. Across finance, procurement, and HR, so that's a significant piece. This is a significant challenge. It is, as I said before, I've been involved in a number of different transactions. Nearly 20 plus transactions in my career. I'm getting reasonably good at it.
Yeah,
but it's not still not without its challenges, certainly. And implementing systems in that short period of time. Some companies take years to implement an ERP. We got it done within 11 to 12 months. So it's just about moving at pace and getting to that end point so we can start being our own business and being who we want to be.
So let's talk a little bit more about that technology then. So you've carved out from Pennon. It's Viridor is now its standalone business. And we could talk all day about this particular question, but how I'm going to frame it is, what technology runs Viridor right now? So, I'm talking about, are you fully cloud-based? Are you still completely on-prem? Are you operating a hybrid infrastructure? What does the business look like?
From to IT and OT slightly differently, actually, but from an IT perspective, we're 100% in the cloud. We're all in Azure. All of our servers, data storage, archive, everything is in Microsoft's Azure platform. We've gone a bit all in with Microsoft, so we also just finishing the rollout of Microsoft's managed desktop. We've gone big on data lakes and Azure data services, and we are and we're migrating services away. Legacy applications that run in Azure, we're moving to more SaaS-based platforms. So as part of that ERP platform, we have gone with Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform.
Yeah.
So as I said, we're a bit all in with Microsoft, but
Yeah.
we are all on cloud. OT is slightly different. OT runs the plants. Our plant, we're very hugely protective of our plants, and their systems run behind their air gaps from the west of the world for very good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing a lot of work on extracting data out of those systems into our cloud-based platform. So anything we do, I'm a bit of a cloud. In a previous business, it was cloud by default, cloud only, whatever you want to call it. I've never, and in the previous business, I used a lot of cloud. Started off with a mix of hybrid, moving towards public cloud. But to be fair to Viridor, within Pennon, they had a big cloud footprint already, and within the last 18 months, we've just finished that off alongside an ERP implementation. So as part when they were within Pennon, they did have a big Azure presence, and we've just made the most of that and just really exploited it.
And this is, I guess, kind of a simple question, but maybe it gets overlooked. What is the decision to go 100% in the cloud from IT? When you boil it down, what do you really see as the benefits of running that complete infrastructure in the cloud?
You pay for what you use, right? It's the scalability, it's the elasticity of it. So as I mentioned slightly earlier, since we've been a separate company, we've completed 3 divestments. It allows you to scale back your business and scale up your business very cleanly. There's no stranded cost when you do those kind of when you've got a cloud-based platform, and you can grow with your business and you can reshape your business when you need to. I think that's really key, and it takes away all the operational headache.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's a real key thing. I've said this in other forums. I think it's a no-brainer. You should be doing it. There might be very good reasons, compliance-wise, or very good reasons why you should maintain on-prem. And I understand some of those situations. But for me, if I walked into anywhere, I'd be getting everything into the cloud as quickly as possible, because I don't want to be that CIO that's worrying about capacity and availability and shouting at. That's just not what I want to do. So I would rather focus on getting my department and my people focused on how they improve business, how they help the business grow, how they improve business processes, not focused on worrying about running out of storage or need to delete these mail files. Been there and done that, and
Keeping the lights on.
I never want to go there again. So that's why that for me, I know it's horses for courses, but it's something I'm pretty passionate about. Have been for many, many years.
Yeah.
And no one can convince me of another route yet. So we'll see. But I am a proper cloud evangelist.
Well, that leads me that leads me on to another question then. So yeah, and you mentioned about it, what you want your team to be doing and what you would want your team to, your team to spend their time on. What do you see your role being as the CIO? And I don't mean, what did you sign up to when, you looked at the job description, not that kind of thing, but you've been brought in as the CIO. Why? What is your raison d'etre for existing?
I think it's just about making the business as best as it can possibly be using technology. I can't, I'm not going to profess to building energy plants.
Yeah.
I can make energy plants. Maybe I can make energy plants run more efficiently. Maybe I can make our business more efficient. I've sort of used a bit of a phrase of trying to get a business hyper efficient. There's some processes in our business that we're still working through where we could make them better. There's some processes we've implemented that we can make them better, because I'm sure if any one of my business listens to this, they'll probably say, well, what you've implemented, you could probably do with improving, and that's definitely right, because we've done some things at pace when we are constantly revisiting. I think what it means to me to come into Viridor it's just about making sure, it's a business with a good story, a great story that I'm very proud to work for Viridor, and I love what we do. And my role as CIO is to exploit technology to make this business as best as it can possibly be.
Okay.
And that is my remit. And I'm passionate about that. And that is about, as I said before, it's about making business process effective. It's about making the business efficient, and it's about making the whole process around waste management as operationally efficient as it possibly can get.
So that mandate of, or that personal objective to make the business as good as it can be through the use and exploitation of technology. What are the things which make that difficult? Whether that, from whichever area, that may come, what are the things that make that difficult? And what are the things that, you wish, oh gosh, I wish I had X, Y, Z, which would make this job so much more easier?
I think it's time. We've got a lot of programs on the go, trying to help in our commercial side of our commercial business in plastics, our fuel supply business in energy from waste, making sure our ESG reporting is singing, rolling out our new Weighbridge platform, exploiting that capability, exploiting Dynamics and the Microsoft suite to make sure we've got everything about it. I've got a reasonably small team, but we've got 42 odd IT projects on the go.
Wow.
Other projects, about another 30 in our demand pipeline. I could do with a 10-day week and 500 days in a year. But yeah, I think it's time. Got great support from my colleagues. We're all going in the right direction. We just got a lot to do. There's some great stuff we're going after, right? But it all takes time. So what could I really do with more of? Time.
Okay. Well, I'll see what I can do. If I find a way of getting you back in time, or try making some more time out of thin air or something, Dom, I'll send it over. But no, that leads us on to a different topic, which is procurement and vendor management, basically. So you, as the CIO, you have, please correct me if I'm wrong in this, I believe that you have a mandate to bring the most pertinent technology into the business, right? It falls on your head to make sure that the business has what it needs from a technology perspective. So it's on, it's in your remit to go out to market and find what those technologies are and bring them into the business. On the flip side of that, vendors, are doing or have exactly the same mandate, but in a different way. Their mandate is to make sure that all of the organizations out there are aware of what their technology is doing, and if they're able to procure those technologies. And I find that can sometimes create a loggerhead, that dynamic. So your experience of working with vendors and sales and marketing organizations, would you say that has been a positive experience, or one which you wish you could change slightly?
I think I reflected on this for this session. I've got a lot out of strong vendor relationships I've had for many years. I have trusted. The key thing for me with the vendor relationship is about building it's about honesty and trust. Okay, so that's huge for me. If you can deliver for me when my back's against the wall or in difficult moments, and that's a key thing for me. It's about trust, honesty, and being in someone and having a partner or vendor you can rely on. And I have gone back to vendors that I've used in the past purely for that reason. Also bought on new vendors and had some very positive experiences with new vendors. But all at the core of those relationships is about trust and honesty. Another key word I'd throw into the mix here is transparency. Yeah, I remember a good number of years ago, many roles ago, doing a tender between two vendors. If they're listening to it, they can probably tell who that is. But the two vendors walking in with two different approaches. One being very, as you know, as open book as they think they, you know, as I think they're being, right?
Yeah.
They're telling a story, but making, you know, and I'm not out there to destroy vendors. I want a good deal for my business, but also I want that deal to work longer term. And so there's an element of pragmatism to it. One vendor came in, gave me all the show, wasn't really detail behind the numbers. You got the feeling there was really decent margin in that for that vendor. The other vendor came in and were just maybe a little bit too emotional, but was very transparent on what their numbers were and
Right.
what was in it for them. They wanted the business. This is the reason they wanted the business, and that honesty and transparency was huge. And I think that goes a long, long way. In terms of wider my approach to where we are today, I think there's been an explosion of, you can't do very much as a CIO without somehow your details getting out on the internet. And
Right.
I'm sure my phone number is all over the place. I must have 15 to 20 cold calls a day. And if you don't leave a message, I'm never going to ring you back. So that's one thing.
Okay.
It made me laugh today. I actually put one number in my phone and I've actually made the contact name persistent because this person has phoned me 15 times in the last 20 days, sometimes 3 times a day. I'm just not going to answer the phone. So
Yeah.
many times when you're going for a walk or you have a quiet moment, I'm trying to think of ways around this. Maybe there's a way, I don't know if it's someone who's tried it, but some kind of marketplace where a CIO or CTO or head of IT can go on there and say what they would like.
Yes.
And vendors
Proxy.
some vendors pay a small, you know, £10 subscription, £20, whatever, just to be registered on there and then make contact with that person, because that's if, and then you go there if you need it. Because a lot of I don't like to disappoint vendors when they do get through to me. I just tell them straight if I'm interested or not. I don't need 30 minutes to have a chat about something I'm pretty sure I don't need as well. So I like the innovative approaches. Sometimes the videos sometimes work. A bit of humor as well goes a long way. But the constant badgering me by email or just putting this to the top of your inbox emails is like, I'm not. That's more likely to be deleted, and I've already written a rule to send that straight delete to the trash file. So think of innovative ways. Yeah.
Do you ever take, you know, like an introductory call of something which you may not have heard of before that sounds quite novel, and you think, you know what, I will just take that call because I'm interested to learn about that, for maybe that will be pertinent in the future? Or is it a case of, I just know that, you know, that's not fitting with the current projects that we've got in our pipeline, so I'm just not going to bother?
Yeah, more the latter. I don't want to waste people's time. I know these people have got jobs to do, get business, get people hooked in, get a meeting set up, get the intros done. I had a call this morning. I've actually put some time in the meeting for him next week. I'm pretty sure I don't need the product, but I will listen to him because he was polite and he also didn't badger me. So and he wasn't reading from a script. So also, if they're genuine and they understand what they're doing and they're not just reading from a script, that's also important. You do get the occasional gem, but some of the time you just hear a technology like this morning. I'm 95% sure I don't want it. I'll listen anyway. I'll give them 30 minutes. But for something I know I don't need, or so things like resources is always a good one. You know, companies wanting to do software development or resources, you know, unless you actually go into a moment and you think, I need that now, and they hit the right time, then it's very unlikely they'll get a chance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really interesting, an interesting insight. There was just one more topic that I wanted to touch on, and you know, it was when we were speaking, which was you know, not on camera, when we were speaking a couple of weeks ago, and I think you mentioned that you know, there's a forum or like applications that you use to speak to other executives and to keep abreast of technology and themes and stuff. Now, I don't expect you to tell us all what that application is, but you know, how important is that medium for you to stay up to date with what's going on, and you know, how much value do you derive from an area like that?
I wrote down here on my notes before this call. I get the most out of other people's experience,
Okay.
other people's stories. So and sometimes you might be using a bit of technology, there aren't any case studies, right? Because you're one of the first. I've been there with some SaaS platforms a few years ago where we were the first in the world to go live with something, and you're taking a bit, you're not leading, you're a little bit bleeding edge, and there's no case studies. You take a bit of a flyer, but the vast majority of the time, when there's something that has been out there for a while, how have people gone about it? What are the pitfalls? I tend to do a number of reference calls for the vendors that I trust, and I hope to share the experience of what I've done with that platform or that technology with others, because that for me is how I learn the most. And that if you've got if you've got a customer story that's relevant to me and relevant to my industry, I'm very interested, and that will spark my interest. But in terms of, I get a lot out of our CIO network, people that I've worked with in the past, people that have worked for me, sharing what's going on, have events. I'm a big supporter of the CIO.co.uk group. I've done a lot of work in that area. I get a lot of work. I get a lot of benefit out of talking to other people, and where we've got opportunities to exchange information. I'd rather ask a peer how they've approached something, or if they've got an idea on something, or assistance with something before approaching a vendor.
Okay. So massively reliant on it then, and something that you truly value.
Yeah, and also I have a lot of time for the advisories out there. There's IT advisories. I don't need to name them, but
Yeah.
I deliberately don't go to them at the moment, because I'm pretty sure on my technology roadmap where we're going and what we're doing. But if I did hit a dilemma, I would probably contact my community before I contact an advisory.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Well, Dom, that personally has been very enjoyable for me to hear all of that, and to have a conversation with you. I wanted to give the opportunity, the last couple of minutes, if there's any open recs or there's any gaps in your roadmap right now that you're looking for, and there's someone who may by the off chance be listening to this and think, that sounds interesting, or I could probably help Dom with that. Is there anything that you would want people to contact you about, or those 15 or 20 calls are already enough a day?
To be honest, Matt, they're already enough a day. I've got enough contests between my existing vendors without adding new vendors into the mix, and genuinely trying to exploit the technology we already got. We've put investments into technology throughout the last 2 years. I want to make sure that we get maximizing the value out of that before we start engaging in new tech. We have brought new tech on board, new solutions, new capability, and we're pushing that out to our business. But it's about, I've said at the beginning, we've got a big investment into Microsoft. It's exploiting that. It's pushing the boundaries. It's absolutely, and putting that technology in every corner of our business. Where if we had all the time in the world, I'd do a lot more. But we are pushing it, and my team are doing a fabulous job in doing that. So yeah.
Good. Well, Dom, as I said, thank you so much for coming on as a guest and allowing me to interrogate you and having a conversation. We bid you farewell, and we will catch up soon. Appreciate your time, Dom.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you.